you know,
We
we'll
settle for
take-
something.
We
This is
settle,
enough for me.
we settle for, you know, this is good enough. You know, just us four, no more.
If
and
I
don't
can
reach
just
out.
sweep those golden, golden streets, you know.
Yeah,
instead
you
of
hear
having a
people
big
say
house,
that all the time,
you know?
you know, if I could just be a, you know, have this little shack up there, you know?
Yeah, out on
One
the
of the
lower
things
40, I'll
that I'd
be
like
happy.
to bring out about
But
those
you think
guys
about that
going forward
forever?
is that we know they had lots of livestock, for instance, one thing. There were responsibilities, there were things, there were chores that had to be done. There were cows that had to be milked. There
Oh, so
were,
they
you
left
know,
all the work for the wives to do.
exactly, the families that were left behind had great responsibility.
And it was, and he points out here, he said it many times actually by this point, and you have a multitude of cattle.
Yes.
It's not like they had a little, 15 cattle farm probably at this point. We're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of livestock. And
I think you guys gotta go back to Jay's point of view, okay? Your dad went off and left family things here. They had their Walmart, they had their water wells, they had their corrals built. Everybody else that went, they had to carry all that luggage and pack and unpack, and fight and worry. And Jim, God took care of them for 37 years already,
Sure.
okay? So, am I gonna doubt, the verse 18 or something, 18, I commanded you to go. They're just doing what God told them to do,
Mhm.
okay? Their family gets to stay home, drive the cars, do everything else. We gotta go out there and fight the sand and the dirt, and we're gonna pitch the tent tonight. The rest of the family, so which family did you wanna be part of? You wanna stay home where God said some of them could? Okay, yeah, I gotta get up and milk the cows, big whoop. I don't have to get up and fight the enemy at midnight. Point of view.
yeah,
Okay?
Goes back to what we've been talking about for several weeks is decisions.
yeah,
Who are you gonna choose?
right. And that's basically what it comes down to. Because God laid,
And part of it could be the safety of their family, because they had already
right.
taken out this enemy, so their family was safer.
We can go back 37 years. There was a time there that there was a line drawn. And who got on one side of the line, and then who had to kill 3,000
Mhm.
of their relatives.
Right, people they knew and.
Their own
And
brothers.
that was a command.
Sure.
Their own brothers.
That was from Moses.
And yet, you know what I think sometimes gets left out is that concept of being zealous for God. And I think you, especially in what you're describing, there was a certain zealousness that they saw them as almost enemies, I think, at that point, saying, you've defiled, you've done this, you're gonna be the enemy of our people.
Great.
They're traitors, I think is a great word. Yeah, they were looking at it. So, I mean, the idea of having to take out their own, if you will, there's an element of that, but I don't think it was that hard. And I think it almost kind of goes back to what you were talking about with kids. They were looking at all of these groups of peoples as negative influence, even going back to Balaam and seeing what that little underlying little curse was. He says, well, send the women in there, they'll corrupt them. And they had already seen that happen with them and knew that in fact that little bit of leaven, can destroy the whole thing. So the idea of being able to cleanse, it's maybe not something that we're that accustomed to. We're used to mixing and being mixed, and nothing's pure. May have been a little bit more understandable back then to have that concept of something being completely cleansed and, if you will, set apart.
The woman at the well said, "What are you doing talking to me?"
Hmm?
So they didn't talk to you. They were
Mhm.
elite.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. We got a couple of announcements right quick.